Everyone knows the Sydney Opera House with its white sail-shaped shells jutting into the harbour. Everyone has heard of the Great Barrier Reef stretching 2,300 kilometres along the Queensland coast. But what about the pink lake that looks like someone poured strawberry milk into the ocean? Or the underground town where 3,000 people live in caves to escape the desert heat? Australia has 30 secret places that even most Australians have never visited. And today, you are going to discover every single one of them. Most travel guides show you the exact same tired destinations. The overcrowded beaches where you fight for towel space. The tourist traps charging $20 for fish and chips. But Australia is a continent, not just a country. 7.6 million square kilometres of landscapes so diverse that you could spend a lifetime exploring and still find places that take your breath away. The real Australia exists in the gaps between the famous landmarks. In tiny towns with populations below 500. In wilderness areas where you won't see another soul for days. In places where the locals still look at tourists like they have just arrived from another planet. Today, we are taking you way off the beaten path. 30 destinations that will make you question why you wasted time at Bondi Beach. Some of these places do not even appear on Google Maps properly. Others require four-wheel drive vehicles and serious planning just to reach. But every single one of them offers something the tourist hotspots never will. Authenticity, space, and the kind of sheer natural beauty that makes you realize how small we are. Welcome to the Australia nobody talks about. Let us begin our journey. Hidden coastal gems, where the ocean keeps its secrets. Number 1, Lucky Bay in Western Australia, part of Cape Le Grand National Park. This beach has sand so white it hurts your eyes in direct sunlight. The sand is 99% pure silica, which means it squeaks under your feet when you walk. But here is what makes Lucky Bay truly bizarre. Wild kangaroos lounge on the beach like they are on holiday. You will find them lying on the sand, hopping along the shoreline, completely unbothered by humans. Cape Le Grand National Park surrounds this bay, and on a clear day, you can see turquoise water so vivid it looks digitally enhanced. Number 2, Wineglass Bay in Tasmania. Shaped like a perfect crescent, this bay earned its name from the way the water curves inside the granite peaks of the Hazards mountain range. The hike to the lookout point takes 90 minutes, climbing 600 steps carved into the mountainside. But when you reach the top and see that white sand beach curving between pink granite mountains with water shifting between deep blue and emerald green, you understand why Lonely Planet ranked it among the top 10 beaches on Earth. Number 3, Turquoise Bay in Ningaloo Reef. While everyone flies to Queensland for the Great Barrier Reef, Turquoise Bay offers something better. You can walk straight off the beach into pristine coral. No boats required. The drift snorkel here is legendary. You enter the water at one end of the beach, let the current carry you 200 meters over coral gardens filled with reef sharks, sea turtles, and manta rays. Then walk back along the sand and do it again. The town of Exmouth, nearby, has just over 2,000 residents, and during whale shark season, from March to July, you can swim alongside the largest fish in the ocean. Number 4, Hyams Beach in Jervis Bay, New South Wales. This beach holds a Guinness World Record for the whitest sand on Earth. The sand is so fine and pale that it reflects sunlight like snow. The water in Jervis Bay is so clear that you can see the bottom at 15 meters depth. Bottlenose dolphins patrol these waters every single day. The naval base nearby means parts of the bay remain restricted, which has accidentally created a marine sanctuary where wildlife thrives undisturbed. Number 5, Whitehaven Beach in the Whitsunday Islands, Queensland. 7 kilometers of pure white silica sand that does not retain heat. You can walk barefoot on this beach at noon in summer, and the sand stays cool. Hill Inlet at the northern end creates swirling patterns of white sand and turquoise water that change with every tide. The only way to reach Whitehaven is by boat or seaplane, which keeps the crowds smaller than you would expect for something this beautiful. Number 6. The Bay of Fires in Tasmania. Bright orange lichen covers the granite boulders along this coastline, creating a colour combination so striking that the bay looks like it is actually on fire at sunrise and sunset. The name comes from the Aboriginal fires that explorer Tobias Furneaux saw along the coast in 1773. The water here is freezing, even in summer, but the beaches are deserted and the rock formations create natural sculptures that belong in an art gallery. Outback secrets, red earth and forgotten towns. Number 7. Coober Pedy in South Australia. Half the town lives underground in dugout homes carved from rock to escape the brutal desert heat. Summer temperatures regularly hit 50 degrees Celsius on the surface, but inside the dugouts carved 15 meters into the hillsides, it stays a constant 23 degrees year-round without air conditioning. This town produces 70% of the world's opals, and the landscape looks so alien that Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome and several other post-apocalyptic films were shot here. The underground Serbian Orthodox Church, carved entirely from sandstone with hand-painted murals and stained glass windows, is one of the strangest religious sites you will ever see. Even the hotels are underground, with rooms tunneled into the rock face. Number 8. William Creek in South Australia. Population 3. That is not a typo. 3 permanent residents. This is the smallest town in Australia, located in the middle of absolutely nowhere. The William Creek Hotel is the only building that matters, serving as the pub, hotel, and social hub for cattle station workers from stations larger than some European countries. Anna Creek Station nearby covers 23,000 square kilometres, making it the largest cattle ranch on Earth. From William Creek, you can take scenic flights over Lake Eyre, a salt lake so massive it can be seen from space. Number 9. The Pinnacles Desert in Nambung National Park, Western Australia. Thousands of limestone pillars rise from yellow sand dunes like an alien graveyard. Some pinnacles stand 4 meters tall, others are just stumps, but together they create a landscape that looks like something from another planet. The formations are 30,000 years old, created when ancient seashells broke down and reformed into these bizarre towers. The desert sits just 200 kilometers north of Perth, yet most international tourists never hear about it. Number 10. The Horizontal Falls in Talbot Bay, Western Australia. David Attenborough called this one of the greatest natural wonders in the world. And when you see 10-meter-high waterfalls flowing sideways through narrow coastal gorges, you understand why he was not exaggerating. Tidal movements in this part of the Kimberley create waterfalls that flow horizontally through 2 narrow gaps in the McClarty Ranges, gaps barely wider than a tour boat. When the tide changes every 6 hours, billions of litres of seawater rush through gaps just 10 metres wide at speeds up to 15 kilometres per hour, creating a phenomenon found nowhere else on Earth. The tidal range here can reach 11 metres, one of the highest in the world, which creates the pressure needed to push water through the gaps with enough force to create actual waterfalls. The only way to experience it properly is by seaplane or high-speed boat tour from Derby or Broome, and the boat rides through the falls themselves are not for anyone with a weak stomach. Number 11. Mungo National Park in New South Wales. This is where they found Mungo Man, the oldest human remains ever discovered in Australia, dating back 42,000 years. The Walls of China Formation here is a 33-kilometre crescent of sand dunes and clay that change colour throughout the day, shifting from white to pink to deep orange. When the wind blows, the dunes sing, creating an eerie whistling sound that Aboriginal people say is the voice of their ancestors. Number 12. Karijini National Park in the Pilbara region of Western Australia. Ancient gorges cut through red iron-rich rock formations 2.5 billion years old, some of the oldest exposed rock on Earth. The park contains narrow slot canyons, hidden waterfalls, and pools so blue they look artificially coloured. Hamersley Gorge has water that stays freezing cold even when the air temperature hits 45 degrees. The hike into Hancock Gorge involves climbing down a vertical shaft using metal rungs bolted into the rock face. Mountain and forest escapes, where the air changes, everything. Number 13. Cradle Mountain in Tasmania. The mountain itself is a jagged dolerite peak that towers over ancient rainforest and glacial lakes. The Overland Track, Tasmania's most famous multi-day hike, starts here and winds 65 kilometres through wilderness so pristine that UNESCO listed it as a World Heritage Site. Dove Lake reflects the mountain perfectly on calm days, creating a mirror image that has launched 1,000 postcards. Wombats waddle across the trails at dusk like they own the place, because in many ways, they do. Number 14. The Blue Mountains, New South Wales. The name comes from the blue haze created by eucalyptus oil evaporating from millions of trees. The Three Sisters rock formation at Katoomba is famous, but the real magic happens when you descend into the valleys. The Glowworm Tunnel near Lithgow is an abandoned railway tunnel where thousands of bioluminescent larvae create a living constellation on the ceiling. The tunnel is pitch black, and the only light comes from the worms themselves, glowing blue-green in the darkness. Number 15. The Daintree Rainforest in far north Queensland. This is the oldest continuously surviving rainforest on Earth, 135 million years old. It existed when dinosaurs walked the planet. The forest meets the Great Barrier Reef at Cape Tribulation, where Captain Cook's ship ran aground in 1770, creating the only place on Earth where two UNESCO World Heritage Sites touch. Saltwater crocodiles, up to 5 meters long, patrol the rivers. Cassowaries crash through the undergrowth with their prehistoric blue necks and helmet-like casques. And strangler figs wrap around host trees like something from a horror film. The canopy is so thick that parts of the forest floor remain in permanent twilight, even at midday. Walking through the Daintree feels like stepping back in time to when plants ruled the earth. Number 16. Mount Kosciuszko in the Snowy Mountains, New South Wales. At 2,228 metres, this is mainland Australia's highest peak. The summit walk is relatively easy, a 13-kilometre return trek across alpine meadows filled with wildflowers in summer. But the real secret is the alpine region in winter, when snow covers everything and the ski resorts empty out. You can cross-country ski across wilderness that feels like Antarctica. Number 17. The Grampians National Park in Victoria. Sandstone mountain ranges, Aboriginal rock art sites over 22,000 years old, and waterfalls that appear out of nowhere after heavy rain. Mackenzie Falls is the largest waterfall in Victoria, dropping 30 metres into a gorge carved from ancient rock. The Pinnacle Lookout offers 360-degree views across ranges that stretch to the horizon. Kangaroos and emus are so common here that you stop photographing them after the first hour. Number 18. The Tarkine Wilderness in Tasmania. This is the second largest temperate rainforest on Earth, and almost nobody visits it. The forest contains trees over 2,000 years old, rivers the colour of dark tea from tannins, and beaches littered with driftwood that looks like abstract sculpture. The drive along the Western Explorer Road takes you through landscapes so untouched that you expect to see Tasmanian tigers emerge from the ferns, even though they have been extinct since 1936. Island paradises, isolation, and perfect water. Number 19. Lord Howe Island, 600 kilometres east of Port Macquarie. Only 400 tourists are allowed on the island at any time, which preserves the pristine environment and keeps the beaches empty. Mount Gower rises 875 metres straight from the ocean, and the climb to the summit is one of Australia's most challenging day hikes. The lagoon on the western side has water so clear and calm that it feels like swimming in an aquarium. The island has no mobile phone coverage, which means people actually talk to each other. Number 20. Rottnest Island off the coast of Perth. This island is famous for quokkas, small marsupials that look like they are smiling. They are friendly, fearless, and extremely photogenic, which has made them internet famous. But beyond the quokkas, Rottnest has 63 beaches and 20 bays, most of them deserted even in peak summer. The island has no cars except for essential services, so everyone gets around by bicycle. The waters around Rottnest contain shipwrecks, coral reefs, and enough marine life to keep snorkelers happy for weeks. Number 21. Bruny Island off the southern coast of Tasmania. Technically, two islands connected by a narrow sandy isthmus, Bruny offers everything Tasmania does best in concentrated form. The Neck Lookout provides views over both sides of the isthmus, where you can watch waves crash on opposite beaches simultaneously. The island produces some of Australia's best cheese, oysters, and whiskey. Cloudy Bay at the southern tip has beaches that stretch for kilometres without a single footprint. Number 22. The Tiwi Islands, north of Darwin. Bathurst and Melville Islands are home to the Tiwi people, who have lived here for at least 7,000 years. The art produced here is bold, colourful, and distinctly different from mainland Aboriginal art. Visitors need a permit to visit, and most come on organised tours that include meeting local artists and learning about Tiwi culture. The islands have some of the best barramundi fishing in Australia, and the beaches remain empty because the crocodile risk keeps most people out of the water. Number 23. Kangaroo Island off South Australia. Seals, sea lions, koalas, kangaroos, wallabies, echidnas, and penguins all live here in wild populations. Seal Bay allows you to walk among Australian sea lions lounging on the beach like they are on permanent vacation. Remarkable rocks at Flinders, Chase National Park, are granite boulders balanced on a cliff top, sculpted by 500 million years of wind and rain into shapes that defy physics. The island produces honey from Ligurian bees, the only pure strain of this species left in the world. Number 24. Fraser Island, now known by its traditional name, Kagari, meaning paradise in the Butchulla language, off the coast of Queensland. This is the largest sand island in the world, stretching 123 kilometres long and covering 184,000 hectares of pure sand. The entire island is made of sand deposited over 700,000 years, yet somehow it supports tall rainforests growing directly out of sand dunes. Over 100 freshwater lakes formed in depressions between dunes, and beaches that stretch endlessly toward the horizon. Lake Mackenzie sits in a sand bowl 40 metres above sea level, with sand so white it is almost painful to look at in direct sunlight and water so blue and pure you can drink it. 75 Mile Beach serves as the main highway because there are no paved roads anywhere on the island, and you need a four-wheel drive vehicle with proper permits just to move around without getting bogged in soft sand. Dingoes roam freely here in their purest genetic form, and they are wild, dangerous, and protected by law. These are not the tame versions found in most of Australia. These dingoes hunt, pack hunt, and see humans as either threats or potential food sources. Urban surprises, cities that hide their best parts. Number 25. The laneways of Melbourne, Victoria. While Sydney shows off its harbour, Melbourne hides its treasures in narrow alleyways covered in street art that changes monthly. Hosier Lane is the most famous, but AC/DC Lane, Degrave Street, and Centre Place offer better coffee and less tourist crowds. The laneway cafe culture is Melbourne's real contribution to Australian identity. Small bars hidden up staircases or behind unmarked doors create a speakeasy atmosphere that makes every night feel like an adventure. Number 26. The River Torrens Linear Park in Adelaide, South Australia. This green corridor stretches from the Adelaide Hills to the ocean, offering 35 kilometres of walking and cycling paths that let you cross the entire city without seeing a car. The park connects botanical gardens, wetlands, and sports facilities, creating an urban oasis that most visitors miss because they spend all their time in the city centre or at the beach. Number 27. Fremantle in Western Australia. Everyone visits Perth, but Fremantle, just 30 minutes south, is where the real character lives. This port city has heritage buildings, a working harbour, street musicians on every corner, and the best coffee culture in Western Australia. The Fremantle markets have operated since 1897, selling everything from fresh produce to handmade crafts. The town has a relaxed, slightly bohemian atmosphere that feels nothing like the polished modern city of Perth. Desert and ancient wonders where time stands still. Number 28. Uluru in the Northern Territory. Yes, this is famous, but most people see it wrong. They fly in, take a photo, and leave. To really experience Uluru, you need to walk the base, all 10.6 kilometers. You need to watch the rock change color at sunrise and sunset. You need to understand that this is not just a big rock. It is a sacred site for the Anangu people, who have managed this land for tens of thousands of years. The rock is 600 million years old, and the stories connected to it are some of the oldest continuous cultural narratives on Earth. Number 29. Lake Hillier on Middle Island, Western Australia. This lake is bright pink. Not pale pink, not salmon. Bright bubblegum pink. Scientists think the colour comes from algae and bacteria that produce carotenoid pigments, but nobody knows for certain. The lake is 600 metres long and surrounded by white sand and eucalyptus forest. The only way to see it properly is from a helicopter or small plane, because Middle Island is uninhabited and requires special permits to visit. The pink colour is visible even from space. Number 30. Kings Canyon in Watarka National Park, Northern Territory. Sandstone walls rise 100 metres vertically from the canyon floor, creating an ancient landscape of domes and crevices that has existed for 440 million years. The rim walk takes 3 to 4 hours and involves climbing over 500 steps called Heart Attack Hill. But the views across red rock formations and hidden waterholes make the effort worthwhile. The Garden of Eden, a natural waterhole in the middle of the desert, supports plants found nowhere else on Earth. That is 30 places that most Australians will never visit in their lifetime. 30 destinations that prove Australia is not just beaches and cities. This is a continent of extremes, from pink lakes to underground towns. From beaches where kangaroos sunbathe to rainforests older than the dinosaurs. From islands with population restrictions to deserts where 3 people constitute an entire town. But here is the real question. Why do these places remain hidden? Why does everyone flock to the same 10 destinations while these 30 gems sit empty? The answer is simple. Most people travel to tick boxes, not to discover. They want the Instagram shot, not the experience. They want convenience, not adventure. And that is exactly why these places stay special. The effort required to reach them filters out everyone except those who genuinely want to be there. If you found this helpful, subscribe. We cover hidden destinations around the world every week. Now go explore. Australia is waiting.